everybody, and welcome back to Board Game Trade and Chat UK. On a fine Sunday evening where it's been absolutely glorious outside, and we're doing another Diary of an Insider, part of our Diary of the Insiders series, the Diary of a Retailer. Obviously in the current economic climate, the pandemic situation, there's been a huge amount for retailers to consider, and we're going to look at how that's impacted them on a business level, and how obviously as main owner operators and things, how this also impacts on a personal level. So I have three guests. I'm going to go clockwise around my screen, no favourites. So I have Andy Cov from Crit Hit in Liverpool. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
I've got Nabil from Travelling Man in
Hi.
obviously Leeds, Manchester, Newcastle and York.
Hi.
And I've got Ian from Games Crusade in Harrogate.
Hello, everybody.
So, thank you very much for agreeing to spend your Sunday evenings doing this, as opposed to being outside in the garden with a beer.
Right.
So I think we'll just launch straight into it, and have you all tell us a bit about what the pandemic's done, just on a personal level, how things have been. Let's start with you, Andy. How's it been?
Overall, it's been positive. I've had a lot more time to speak with family, not had as much physical work on as such, but quite early on, for Crit Hit, I bought out my two business partners and the contract went live on the 23rd of March. So I had a little talk about that, of course. And then a week later to the day, my car was wrote off through no fault of my own. So I was left without transport for a couple of weeks.
Oh, wow. But you're okay and everything was okay?
Yeah, everything was okay. It was just something that couldn't be avoided, unfortunately. But life goes on, get a new car. And yeah, just glad that I got to spend some more time with family and, speak with friends.
That must be difficult, actually, because especially if you're running a place like Crit Hit, a lot of your time must go into that and you don't get as much time at home perhaps as you'd like. So.
Definitely. Just paperwork alone takes up a lot of time in the background, but just to get an extra few hours in the day, shall we say, just to speak with people and actually mellow out and not have the business mind on when having a conversation, it's really nice.
A bit of relief. What about you, Nabil?
Yeah, so it was obviously when everything started happening and the the lockdown occurred, just a feeling of sheer panic and terror, to be honest. But, when the government kind of intervened and talked about a furlough system, that kind of gave me a lot of comfort. But basically, I had 4 resale stores, a very tiny online presence. So we started in January this year. We started with 6 items on our website in January. And I kind of thought, how do I get myself out of this mess? So I just basically thought, got to really plow on with the website and
throw yourself into it.
Make that our business, basically. And that's basically what we've been doing ever, since that point, just trying to, get that up and running.
You've still been full on and not really, rather than time at home to dig the garden over.
No, I mean, seriously, I don't say it's lightly. I don't think I've ever worked as hard as in my life as just recently, sort of in the last 3 months. So it just not stopped, just gone, sort of carried on and on, Being a travelling man as well, because it was basically 3 of us working the website, and just picking those guys up every morning so we don't have to get public transport to kind of avoid the virus, and just getting into the warehouse and just
exhausting. Exhausting times.
But I have to say, like you saying before, it's been a really positive experience as well, because it's been quite an eye-opener into the online world, and just seeing how we've managed to really develop a new sort of side to our business and a new strategy going forward.
That keeps you in a positive mindset, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm trying my best to feel as positive as possible.
It's tricky. What about you, Ian? How have things been developing for you? Have you been kept busy with work or a bit more at home?
Well, so probably 2 aspects for that for me. For me personally, I was furloughed straight away because, of course, shop being closed, there was no opportunity for me to go in and do my job. However, the owner, Lisa, has probably had a very similar experience to Nabil with spent all the time getting things on the website, getting the website up to date and selling, doing our best to sell through the website, which at the end of lockdown has actually come up quite positive because we've now got a website with probably 80-90% of our stock on, as opposed to 5 to 10% before. So from a business point of view, it's been good in that we've you could argue we've generated a second store, but from a personal point of view, sitting at home, walking the dog and eating lots of food.
Do you know, I set myself a challenge this time. I thought, right, I know I'm not gonna get anything as sitting around on my backside working 10 hours a day. But I thought if I don't put any weight on, that might be some sort of goal to achieve. So you two have obviously done the online business thing and kept that up and running during this. You've got very different business models. Andy, have you managed to do anything in terms of home deliveries, online orders, or regulars making postal orders? Or
the first thing that I went and did was try and get someone to make an online store. We didn't have, well, we had a website, but we didn't have any sort of online retail. It's still in the works at the moment. It's been very complex for us.
It is.
We did do quite a lot of like home deliveries, so contact-free deliveries for customers placing orders through Facebook Messenger or over the phone. Just try and keep everyone in the hobby as much as possible and just keep the interest going throughout lockdown.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, we did the same at Fanboy 3. It was a case of what we can do to try and service locally as much as we can until we could start again, like these guys. The site was, we wanted a site, we knew we were going to get one, and I think for all of us the pandemic has kind of focused us on that we need to dedicate time to that. We need that contingency now. So we do have a question from Julia asking what help you guys would like from the government. So obviously there's the furlough scheme in place. I personally don't know what's in place in terms of anything else for business apart from the furlough scheme and the furlough bonuses for staff retention. Andy, is there anything that you know about that you'd like?
No, nothing really. I mean, the government are doing everything that they can, I think, at this moment in time with what is very limited resources. In an ideal world, there'd be a pot of unlimited money that could support, well, everyone. But I mean, that's a question that I think you'd need a very long time to think about to come up with a proper answer for. But just, it's basically about keeping the staff. That's what it's all about. The furlough scheme's been great, and if depending on how long this goes over for, it's about just keeping, well, your staff. The worry for me was the people that I'm responsible for, keeping them comfortable and keeping them, in their homes and fed. So that aspect with the furlough scheme did help us a lot, depending on how long it goes for.
Yeah. Let's see how long it trickles along. What about you, Nabil? Because you've got obviously a large amount of staff spread out over 4 sites.
That's right.
So is the furlough scheme on its own enough? Have you had to look to help from landlords, for example, or?
Yeah, so I think the landlord questions are kind of a separate one that I'm trying to deal with now in terms of trying to, see if they'll actually come to some kind of arrangement with, moving forward, because, business isn't at 100% anywhere near that yet. But
if the government could maybe chuck in on rent, it could be kind of helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know if the government will be able to, as much as, that'd be a great thing to happen. But, I was kind of hoping with a VAT cut that restaurants and hospitality industry basically got, that we might get something sort of similar, maybe a VAT cut, because I think that would potentially help it either in terms of bringing our prices down or just to be able to retain a little bit more profit.
Yeah. Like these vouchers that we might all be getting, if they could be spent on non-essential services and pushing these extra purchases that people make.
Yeah. I mean, I quite like the voucher scheme, but I did kind of think, that a lot of people would probably end up just spending it on big ticket items like TVs and computers and that kind of thing, and maybe sort of board games, card games, would they really spend it on? I mean, I know a lot of people would,
but there are many that might not.
Yeah, exactly.
We can turn them to the light side eventually. What about you, Ian? What's happened in terms of business rates and things? Has there been any let off on that? Any plans?
Yeah, certainly we haven't been paying business rates over in Harrogate, but we've had no help or are currently getting no help from our landlord. So rents have still got to be paid. We've heard about the voucher scheme. Anything really that encourages people to get back out onto the high street has got to be welcomed. Certainly from our perspective over there, footfall is very much down from where it should be, where it was. People are certainly scared to come out. So anything the government can do to then encourage that, possibly a voucher scheme with, but our concern was the same as yours, where you don't want them going and buying big ticket items. You know, you want them to come in and spend a few pounds, 20, 30, 40 pounds on games or toys or whatever. So that
keep it in the local economy, not just disappear off to Argos and Amazon.
Exactly. You know, it would need to be, from our point of view, it would need to be targeted so that it needs to be spent either locally or on smaller items.
Yeah. So I'm going to move on to the next point that I know I spoke to you guys about. I'll start with you, Ian, and I'll work my way back around to the opposite direction now. The changes that you've had to make in store to make your stores COVID secure, as my boss keeps telling me our workplace is going to be, my day job, not my day job. What have you had to do operationally, physically, changes to the store, especially on a smaller footprint store with a single entry exit perhaps? What have you had to do?
Yeah, well, we are looking from that point of view. We do have a double entry system, so we have an incoming door and an exit door.
Oh, that's good.
So that's working well. We're not enforcing a one-way system around the store, but if the store gets busy, the staff that are in are sort of guiding people and asking people to respect other people's distances, which generally they are doing. We've got hand sanitizers all round, screens by the till. Staff have got masks to wear when they're in close contact. But I suppose the biggest change for us is we have a lot of games and puzzles out for demonstration for people to come in and handle and play with, and all that has gone. So it's give the store a very, very different feel.
You've literally taken them away rather than screening them off. They just come out entirely.
Yeah, because how can you make a puzzle that one person's played, say, for the next person to play with within 2 or 3 minutes? You can't quarantine it for 72 hours. You can't start washing these things down. So we took the decision for now not to have anything out. So yes, the boxes are out for people to see, but they can't physically play with them like they once could. And that's a huge change for us, because that was a focus for us to be able to talk to customers. So there's quite a different feel.
What's the feedback been? Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry, the good thing is people are being respectful. People are keeping the distance. So there's a nice atmosphere, but not the same atmosphere.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. It's what sort of feedback you're getting from the customers, what sort of feedback you've got from staff in terms of the changes. But if it's positive and people are generally respecting that.
Yeah, all very positive. 99% are just happy to see us back open so that they can come in and have a chat and have a look around the store and see what's new and what they're going to spend the next month's wage on or whatever. So it's, from that point of view, it's absolutely fantastic to be back open.
Back in the community again. What about you, Nabil? You must have different.
You are part of the local community.
Yeah, oh, definitely, especially somewhere like Harrogate, which is a smaller, and it's a smaller hub, isn't it?
Yes.
So, Nabil, what about you in terms of changes you've had to make? Because I've only been in 2 of your stores. I've been in Manchester, which is kind of a small footprint, and then I've been in York, which is obviously larger.
Yeah.
So, have you had to do different things in different places, or have you tried to find a sort of a strategy that works across all of your stores?
Yeah, I mean, we basically tried to create a strategy that went across all 4 shops, and we wrote a basic risk assessment at the office, but we just sent those out as templates to each branch, and just let the guys look at the templates, and basically anything that was particular to their store, they kind of just added things that they wanted to risk assessment. Pretty much everybody just went along with what we said. And I think I think it was Manchester, they sort of said, could we make sure that everybody's, using hand sanitizer as they walk in? And I was like, well, yeah, sure, I'm sure most people want to do that anyway. So that works out pretty well. So, but yeah, it's pretty much the same in each shop. I mean, my experience is very much the same as yours. You know, you pretty much answered everything I said. Yeah.
Positive response from customers and staff, and
yeah, so the staff were a bit nervous, I'd say, coming back in. Sort of rightly so. You've been off for 3 months, and then you're coming back to this brand new sort of new world. And yeah, it was, you know, but everybody did come back. You know, came back and really hit the ground running, and you know, feeling really proud of what everybody's done basically in the stores. Have been absolutely fantastic. You know, couldn't hope for a better team of people to work with me, you know, and we still actually have some people on furlough right now, and hoping to bring them back as soon as we possibly can, you know.
Fingers crossed. As soon as it's all able to support itself, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, trade is improving sort of, you know, week on week for us, so I'm kind of hoping that just keeps going and moving forward, you know.
Oh, that's cool. And so, Andy, you've got another perspective on this because you've got the cafe side of it as well. So what changes have you had to make in terms of the store and then in terms of the cafe? And I know you've got you've got like a VIP room rent, haven't you?
So we've gone from a play space capacity of 110 people. We've capped it at 26.
Wow.
Because of the cafe, we're operating as a table service only. So 2 households come in, we're strict with masks. So come in with masks, hand sanitizer on all of the tables. The only time that I want to see anyone coming away from the table is either to go to the toilet or to browse in the retail area. There's a lot more work going into it because we're having to run backwards and forwards between everywhere, which we're great to do, and we're very grateful to do because it means that we've actually got bums on seats, which is something that this business and this venue does need. We were more about the events, and we were more about getting people in. We don't charge an entry fee, so we try and get as many people in as possible. So to just be back open, it's great, especially on the back of it was a full refit and rebrand. So the refit had the, you know, social distancing in mind so that we could actually get the maximum space possible, even under the circumstances. The VIP room, we've had to close it off purely because it's not quite big enough. We usually fit 10 people in there for a private gathering, but we can't physically fit anyone in there comfortably to make it value for money, in my opinion, and also monitor it safely to make sure that customers aren't, you know, in breach of any guidelines or rules that we're setting. Because apart from the generic guidelines that we have set out by the government, we're also stopping any sort of trading, so just minimize any contact. But I'm just glad that our customers are so, you know, they're open to the change, and they're very accepting of what's happening. And I've not heard any negative feedback with regards to anything that's gone on so far.
That's good then, if you're still getting that positive feedback, and that you've managed to keep the food going, because obviously an easy choice for you guys would have been gone, right, well, shut down the kitchen then.
Yeah.
Leave that for now. Sell bottled water and bags of crisps. But if you've sort of carried on diving back into that.
Yeah, it's what people, it's part of what people come here for. It's the events and the food. So I can't really call myself a games cafe without having cafe or games. So yeah.
It's tricky, isn't it? I know over the same sort of similar problems with Fanboy 3. Obviously, our capacity downstairs is phenomenal, and that's had to be cut right back. And I know that Dave and Heidi and the rest of the staff have spent so much time with plans, figuring out table plans and seating arrangements and what can be fitted, what can't, but access to the bathrooms. And like you say, keeping it all there, and then having to be able to monitor it because it's on a different floor from the main thoroughfare. It all brings its own sort of set of challenges, doesn't it? Is there anything that you've not been able to find a solution for yet, Andy, apart from the VIP room? Do you think you've got most bases covered at the moment?
Pretty much. I wouldn't have opened up if I wasn't confident in our ability to make sure that everything was safe and also comfortable for our customers going forward. It was just a shoe-in to keep the VIP room closed, because I can't keep that safe at this moment in time.
Yeah.
So that's the only adaptation I've not been able to overcome.
No, that's fair enough. And like Ian said, they've obviously had to take sort of demos and tests and plays out of the equation for their customers. What about you, Nabil? Is there anything you've had to sort of put up your foot down on for now and say we really can't accommodate that service at the minute?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting listening to you guys about the organised play sort of side of things, because that does actually make me feel very nervous in terms of exposing my staff and customers, to mixing people in an enclosed environment, because our stores are fairly large, but they're not massive. And so the organised play side I am anxious about right now. And honestly, I've kind of just been waiting to see what other games retailers are doing and what they're putting in place and that kind of thing. And it does seem like that kind of idea of restricting numbers of people, putting social distancing in there is the way forward. But the idea of doing a massive Magic the Gathering tournament just feels kind of completely out of the question at the moment. Which I'm kind of hoping that doesn't last forever, obviously, and we can move forward on that as quickly as possible.
Well, that's it. You've got your big pre-release weekends coming up, and no tournaments, no people on chairs, lots, and not as much going on as you normally have.
Yeah, certainly that. That sort of, like you're saying, you don't mix. You have 2 households, did you say, going to your place?
So people are coming in pairs, 2 households. We're not actually, we've not got any organised play. We're not hosting events. It's just casual. If you want to come in and have some food, but also bring a Yu-Gi-Oh deck out and have a game, but it's you stay in your pair. I don't want you not look at anyone else, but don't think about going over, because that's I feel that would be in breach of what we could do safely at this moment in time. So
no, it's interesting listening to other retailers how they're doing stuff. So thanks for that.
Well, this is good. Like, so I suppose between your 4 stores, there'll be ways that people can bounce off each other to think of things perhaps that work for one store that somebody goes, oh, I could translate that. But again, in this sort of forum, you've got ideas from other businesses that perhaps are different models that work for each other. And I mean, obviously, you've had to make these accommodations, and you're not looking at your organised play yet. Andy's got his organised play on track and the cafe up and running, but we're on reduced capacity. And from Ian's point of view, he's gone completely the other direction. Lisa's gone and got herself some more keys.
Yes. Yeah. So Games Crusade will be expanding very shortly. Hopefully by the end of August, we'll be having another store opened, a socially distant store. So we're all excited about that. So whether it's the right decision, time will tell. But we feel perhaps now's the time to invest and see what happens in the future.
Well, this is it. And if you've got an opportunity that's come up, whenever it's come up, sometimes it just needs to be grabbed and tried, and you don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, it was being looked at just before lockdown, as I understand, but sort of things progressed during lockdown, and fingers crossed.
So once again, the pandemic becomes a catalyst and a focus
for
people.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And I think it's the people who maybe make brave decisions and who are prepared to adapt to the current situation who will hopefully be successful in the future. What you can't do is just stand still doing what you're doing. Hence the reason we've done all the stuff with the website, we've done the click and collect, the online deliveries, the local deliveries, you name it, Lisa's done it.
Definitely no resting on laurels.
No, far from it.
So something else that I know that people have mentioned to us, and I know we've been asked specifically at Fanboy 3, obviously you guys have all continued some version of operating during the pandemic. Not one of you has actually shut down and gone stop. So what about people's purchases during the pandemic, maybe initially at the beginning and then as time's gone on? Are there any particular games that people have been after, not just the new releases, but things that seem to be suited to a pandemic environment, either for remote play or for family play? Andy, have you seen anything particularly take off in demand? 2
massive things. Any sort of board game under about £25-30, quite a lot of demand on that, especially multiple player 3 to 4 player games. I'm guessing people are spending more time with families and finding something to do during this time. So like hobbyist kind of things, like model building.
People have got their paints out.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why, because we've always been sort of steady on it anyway. But there was a massive spike, and it's more than one hobby, really, isn't it? Because you're building models, you're painting. There's books as well. You can read up on the lore. You can also play. I hope everyone's got 6x4 space in the house and playing with the mums and dads, etc. Love to see that. But that's what we've seen over here.
No, that's fair enough. What about you, Nabil? Because I'm guessing you've got other things in like Gundam models and things as well. So what have your spikes been?
Yeah,
what have you seen?
Same kind of experience. Games Workshop gone ballistic for us. That might help because Games Workshop shut down, I think.
I think they closed their website. I remember seeing something that people were trying to get online and pick things up for something, or was it Blood But Kill Team or something, and they couldn't get anything.
No, so that sort of obviously helped a little bit, and it was great because we could bring our stock right down and help pay our Games Workshop bills off. So that was brilliant. Gundam kits as well. Anything where you kind of like making things, paints. It might sound a bit crass, but Pandemic sold incredibly well for us. We sold that until we sold out and couldn't get any more.
Any particular one? Was it the campaign style, the legacy ones, because people have more time, or?
Yeah, it was all of them. It was the main version of it, the 2013 version of it, I think. But yeah, the legacy ones went really well. Two-player games as well, just were flying out. I have to say, party games did bomb for us. We weren't selling party games for obvious reasons, I think.
Yeah.
Able to congregate and get together and have that kind of party.
And a lot of party games have got, some are not licensed, but some are licensed versions on the internet. So a lot of that will have been done remotely and don't actually need the game. Absolutely.
So, just trying to think. Gundam kits. They've grown for us. But typically, you sell out and then you just can't get anything back in again. Like Games Workshop was shut. So yeah, we just sold what we had. But luckily, having 4 branches, that really helps because we did little. It kind of felt a bit like the zombie apocalypse because me and one of the guys at the stores got into our van and we'd drive from city to city, kind of emptying the stores and bringing stuff back to sell on the website. So
Shaun of the Dead time.
Yeah. We were kind of raiding the fridges and the crisps and the chocolate as well. So yeah, it felt like real kind of survival time for us. So yeah.
I know, but that's definitely worked, doesn't it? What about you, Ian? What did you find in terms of your sales? Because obviously, like, you kept a presence going as well.
Yeah. For us, jigsaws have been absolutely phenomenal. They have just been flying out the door, so which is fantastic. We're happy to supply what anybody wants, but getting hold of them's been tricky. But we just about managed to keep enough stock coming in. The other thing we found with the website and through Facebook is people were just constantly wanting different ones, constantly wanting new ones. So anything that new came to the store just flew out. So, but yeah, 1 or 2 games. People were asking for games that they could play over Zoom and things like that. So 1 or 2 recommendations for that, like Wits and Wages or Black Stories, that type of thing, where they can play it remotely, even if you need like a Question Master or something like that. So things like that were also selling well. And Pandemic, we also sold out Pandemic.
Everybody wants a bit of Pandemic. I'm terrible. I bought Plague Inc. Shortly before lockdown on the basis that I learned it in January and went, I get to be a disease. And obviously that's probably not the best thing I could have done. But I'm glad there were enough people that bought Pandemic that we could maybe survive some sort of strange zombie apocalypse. The last, Ludicrous Nick is in the chat. Hello, Nick. I know that you've recently been reopening. We all saw the videos that was online of the store coming back together, and it got me quite emotional when you had to turn the sign back on. But I'm really glad it's back on, and you've already got your customers in, which is great. So big shout out to you, and hopefully we'll have you on here soon as well, which would be great. So the last thing I think that we had on the list to talk about, and I'll start with Nabil because we've not started with you yet. Sure. Your biggest personal learning point from this whole situation. There'll be a load of business stuff that you've picked up as well, but what have you learned about yourself, or things that you look at differently now?
Ooh, not to give in. So I think the very start of this, you kind of think, oh my God, this is a complete disaster, and everybody's going to stop buying games and comics and everything we sell, and everybody's going to concentrate on their lives, and there's moments of feeling quite low to begin with, and just sort of seeing that human spirit sort of coming through, and just seeing how everybody's reacted, and that everybody hasn't just dug themselves into a hole completely and just gone, that's it, I'm giving up, and just sort of not to give in, basically, to keep going, to keep moving forward, just to embrace that human spirit that is so prevalent in the gaming community. It's fantastic.
It's all part of the community, isn't it? And
Exactly.
being that third space that people need. What about you, Ian? What are you taking away from this?
I think it's just shown really how you can never stand still in business. You've got to be adaptable. The situation, as we saw, 22nd of March, fine. 23rd of March was like completely different world we woke up in, and you cannot stand still. You've got to be adaptable, and you've got to change your business model accordingly. Hopefully, we've done that.
Well, it seems like it, especially if expansion's on the horizon now as well.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed that. Say again, that hopefully that will all work out well.
And when are you thinking? End of August?
Hopefully the end of August. Yeah. So
excellent.
Presents in Harrogate and Ilkley. That'd be good.
And you've got the little toy shop in Skipton, haven't you? A toy shop.
That's no longer with us. The lease ran out partway through lockdown, and Lisa felt that in the current climate that it wasn't right to renew that one while other opportunities were available.
No, and I think Skipton's a very small. I've been a couple of times. Beautiful. I've been to the Bull at Broughton, had some lovely dinners, but it's a very small. It's a very tourist based, isn't it?
It is,
a very
and
different
obviously
sort of market.
Yeah, that trade has obviously completely gone because there's nobody visiting. So probably for now it was the right decision. And there were the negotiations with the landlords. I don't think were going all that well neither. So it was right at this time to stop and relook at that in the future.
So onwards and upwards to Ilkley.
That's right.
It should be. Andy, go on. You can get the final words. Your biggest learning points from this. Your takeaways.
I've realised that I'm far more resilient than I ever gave myself credit for. Just in terms of being resourceful and what I'm actually willing to do to keep things going forward. The refit that we've done here, we've done it all ourselves. We've not had any tradies in or any workies in. We've built the walls, we've done the electrics, we've done all the plumbing, we've done the whole lot ourselves. I mean, I've got a background of administration, so I'm not really one for plastering, but I gave it a go. And I'm so proud of what we've been able to build here. And I mean, I know you two may disagree here, but I think I've got the best customers in the world because even this, they've been checking in and seeing how I am and if there's anything that they can do to help me. And they're undergoing the same stresses and situations as me at this moment in time. So the fact that they're thinking about me during this time, I've got a really good community and I love them all to bits. So I can't thank them enough.
No, well, like Nabil said, it is community. It's you guys are all sort of hubs, from people wanting to come and game and have dinner to people checking into the shop to everybody that wanted to come in and just nip in for a chat and see how you guys all were.
Absolutely.
This is what I thought maybe the biggest issue customers might have is that we wouldn't be there for them as much as they were used to us being there for them, and what we could give wouldn't be enough. And I think we've all been very lucky that our customers have understood that we're all giving as much as we can and we'll continue to give as much as we can, and then the offering will just grow and we can be there for them like we were before, hopefully soon. It's been a tricky one. Anything else you guys want to mention? Anything that you want to ask each other before I let you go and finish your Sunday evening and get back to box sets or wishing you'd mowed the lawn?
I think, to be honest, I think everyone's just made some great points. It's just I will like to check in later on to see how everyone's getting on with organised play when regulations are, eased or just as time goes on. It'd just be nice to revisit and see how different we are in a couple of months' time compared to now.
Yeah. I'm kind of looking forward to see how you do, Ian, with the new store in Ilkley.
Yeah.
I think it's a very brave, courageous move, and but like you say, life needs to go on, and it won't go on unless we're all making.
That's right. We've all got to these decisions have to be made, and then see how they work out.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, this is cool. Well, that's it. Maybe we can all check in with you guys in a bit more time, and maybe get Dave or Heidi in as well, and we can all talk organised play and expansion and see how everybody's websites are doing, because I know it's been a tremendous amount of work this end for those guys. So I'm sure it's a tremendous amount of work all round. But thank you all very much for agreeing to come on and spend your Sunday evenings with me. And hopefully, we'll see you all again soon. And the best of luck to everybody. The more of us that can get everything back up and running and as normalised as possible for people, the better it's going to be for the hobby. And it's going to be great. Thank you all so much. Thank you to everybody who's watched, who's put in with a question. This will also be on YouTube later. It'll get uploaded to the channel. We'll tag these guys in so you can check in with them direct. And if you've got anything else you want to ask, you can pop it on and we'll nip on and we'll have a look and see if there's any extra questions. But thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.